Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and people of all ages. Hope you're having a good day, good night, depending on where you're located. Let me get this disclaimer out because most of you know anything and everything can fly out of my mouth at a moment's notice. This way, I don't get a phone call later saying, "Why did you say that?" So, we got Brian Turner, our division chaplain, in the background right now. We'll be bringing him on live here shortly. Excuse me. It's been a crazy night tonight. Just put it this way: don't go to Walmart. Hey, Linda. Hey, Roy. Uh, our division commander right now is in Jacksonville dealing with the fallout of the banner flyover, the replications, let me say, of that. He'd rather be here, but he's dealing with that. So uh, he did message me on a couple things to get out there to you people. Reminding everybody that you can now pre-register for our division reunion. Our division reunion will be June the 3rd, beginning at 9:30. There will be several Constitution amendments that will be voted on this year's reunion. He asked that every camp in the division, Florida division, send at least one delegate to cast a vote for their camp. Remember, each camp has one vote for every 10 members in good standing with the Florida division. Each camp has a minimum of 2 votes, uh, even if they are below 20 members. A national awards nomination and the division awards nomination must be submitted to our division adjutant, Rick Roberts, or Commander Hart by May 5th. Hey, Beth. Hey, Victor. This is next year, guys and girls. It should be noted that the Graves Award, Heritage Defense Award, and Reverend J. Williams Jones Christian Service Award all due dates in mid-April. And will need to forward prior to their due dates. And that's from our division commander, Calvin Hart. Uh, uh, if you remember, we're here to honor our ancestors. With that, with the division reunion, they are putting an ancestor memorial for the 2023 division souvenir program. Uh, in years past, that was been put into the program of the division reunion. It's a cool thing. People know who you are. Me, Mr. Turner, that's in the background, Jim, Victor, Roy. People know who we are, but people don't know who our ancestors are unless we talk about it and say their name. We're here to represent them. So I will especially appreciate you guys doing the ancestral page. That was direct quote from our division commander. So with that, there was another thing you want me to bring up. The 2023 Lee Jackson dinner. The Florida Division Sunday, January 15, 2023 at 5 p.m. You get to meet our commander-in-chief. If you never met him or had a conversation with him, the Division 1 in Jacksonville, the J.J. Dickerson camp is holding a Lee Jackson dinner. Both of them, you can have a pleasure of meeting our commander-in-chief and having conversations with them. I always enjoy talking with them. I know some of you guys and girls in the chat have talked to him in the past. So, uh, JD Dickerson's, I know that's coming up around the corner. I know Roy's in the chat. Roy was on the show a couple weeks ago to talk about uh, the the Lee Jackson the Lee Jackson dinner in Cocoa Beach, Florida, which is going to be a fun time for me. That's going to be a lot closer for me. I love hanging out with the Jacksonville boys, but that's a long drive for me. If you guys if you guys are not on Facebook, if you guys are, I posted some cool things that various different camps got out there doing this past weekend, like yours truly. Uh, we got uh, if you guys want to join the 15th Brigade uh, this Saturday, Alva Cemetery, be there roughly around 11. The Daughters of the American Revolution are doing their presentation on Research Across America. And that's at noon. So uh, anybody in the 15th Brigade, you guys are invited. So be there at roughly around 11. That way, a little bit easier for parking and everything. So we're not disrupting the Daughters of the American Revolution at noon. That's this Saturday. If you never experienced a Wreaths Across America, it's a humble experience. We placed wreaths on all veterans. Let me emphasize that all veterans, not just one sided veterans, all of them. So I was, yeah, get, wait, I thought I had it. I got to repost it. I had it here, then I lost it. I know, guys, dead air is bad air. Alrighty. Yeah, just to remind everybody, Captain J.J. Dickerson Camp, 1387, is proud to announce the 2023 Florida premiere of the Lee Jackson Dinner and Southern Heritage, 6 p.m. Saturday, January 7th. Auto guest will be Jason Boshears. Now, oh, Kim, welcome to the channel. Hey, Mr. Hardy, Mr. Massey. Brian's in the background. I'll be bringing him up shortly. We just talked about upcoming events. It's going to be kind of a relaxed show. Hope you like the background. So, a lot of cool events coming up, especially in January. 2 Lee Jackson dinners, one up in Jacksonville, the other one in Cocoa Beach. So, and Wreaths Across America this Saturday. If you don't like being in Bushnell, being crowded and all that, come to Alva Cemetery. We'll love to have you. With that being said, let's bring on our division chaplain. Good evening, Mr. Turner. How you doing tonight?
Good evening, Sean, and thank you for having me on tonight. Hello, everybody.
All right. Just remind everybody that this is our Christmas special. Or if you don't know Mr. Turner, that he is our division chaplain. Most of you guys that are and girls in the chat do know who he is. So go ahead, Mr. Turner, take it away.
Well, we're in Advent, and that's one of the things that, as being a Christian, I wanted to talk to you all about is actually what is Advent, and why do we celebrate Advent, and do any of y'all mention Advent? I'm sure when you go to your church services, I'm sure your minister, your preacher, priest brings Advent up. And Advent is the last 4 Sundays leading up to Christmas. And each year, Advent will begin on Sunday, like this year began on Sunday, November 27th, and it will end Saturday night, December 24th. So it's our Christian celebration, our time, and of remembering Christ's birth, the Nativity. And the word Advent is derived from the Latin word adventus, which the meaning is coming. So it translates to the Greek word, or parousia, and scholars believe that during the 4th and 5th centuries in Spain and Gaul, Advent was a season of preparation for baptism of new Christians at the January during the Epiphany. And the celebration of God's incarnation was represented by the visit of the Magi to the baby Jesus, and that's in Matthew chapter verse 1. We talk about Advent, and originally how it started was that it would be 40 days of penance, prayer, and fasting to prepare for this celebration, and also about the baptism of Jesus in the River Jordan. So this was all part of Advent when it first started. And originally there was a little connection between Advent and Christians. Going back to Massachusetts, let's say the 17th century, when it was a colony and it became a state, it was illegal. They passed laws that you could not practice the celebration of what we call today Christmas. It was not, the Puritans and the Calvinists were against it. They had not recognized this as a religious, or its meaning was maybe perhaps too pagan. And so the Calvinists and the Puritans didn't want this celebration going on, and they passed laws against it. But let's go back to the 6th century. Let's start again with the Roman Christians. They had tied Advent to the coming of Christ, like we do today. But the coming they had in mind was not Christ's first coming in the manger in Bethlehem, but his second coming in the clouds, as they had to judge of the world. So as we think of his coming back, that's what the original Romans thought of Advent. It was not until the Middle Ages that Advent was a season that was explicitly linked to Christ's coming in Christmas. So I wanted to lead in to how Advent has come in. Advent symbolizes the present situation of the church these days, and these last days of in Acts 2 verse 17, Christ in glory to consummate his eternal kingdom. The church is a similar situation to Israel at the end of the Old Testament in exile. So when you read the Gospels like Matthew and Luke, you will see, of course, you'll read about the Nativity, and it's just really a beautiful, beautiful story, as we know, as we celebrate as Christians. And I wanted to start out tonight and read from the Bible. And this is actually Luke 1. And I'm sure y'all will be familiar with this, but I think it's very appropriate for this season to read it. Verse 26, Luke 1. Now in the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent by God to a city of Galilee named Nazareth, to a virgin betrothed to a man whose name was Joseph of the house of David. The virgin's name was Mary. And having come in, the angel said to her, Rejoice, highly favored one. The Lord is with you. Blessed are you among women. But when she saw him, she was troubled at his saying and considered what manner of greeting this was. Then the angel said to her, Do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God. And behold, you will conceive in your womb and bring forth a son, and shall call his name Jesus. He will be great. He will be called the Son of the Highest. The Lord of God will give him the throne of his father David, and he will reign over the house of Jacob forever, and his kingdom there will be no end. Then Mary said to the angel, How can this be, since I do not know a man? And the angel answered and said to her, The Holy Spirit will come upon you, and the power of the Highest will overshadow you. Therefore, also the Holy One who is to be born will be called the Son of God. There is the beginning of our story of Jesus Christ. And I think those verses they resonate so deep with us as Christians during Christmas, because this is how Mary was chosen. And we need to reflect on these verses. So when you are at home, have a moment, Bible reading, Bible study, I'm sure you're probably reading these verses because they do reflect what we do worship as Christians this time of the year during Advent. To balance the two elements of remembrance and anticipation, the first two Sundays in Advent through December 16th look forward to Christ's second coming, and the last two Sundays, December 17th through 24th, look backward to remember Christ's first coming. So over the course of 4 weeks, scripture readings move from passages about Christ's return to judgment to Old Testament passages about the expectation of the coming of the Messiah to the New Testament passages about announcements of Christ's arrival by John the Baptist and the angels. So we have to think now why it is challenging to keep in mind amid holiday celebrations, shopping, lights and decorations, and joyful carols. Advent is intended to be a season of fasting, much like Lent. And there are a variety of ways that this time of mourning works itself out of the season. Any comments or questions? Sean, anybody?
You were talking about fasting. The question that I thought of fasting is it still from back then to present day of not eating?
Well, during Lent, Catholics fast. And if you're a devout Catholic, you're supposed to fast during Lent. This all started with Jews. They fasted. And it came into Christianity. That's how you show respect with being human, the human body, to a spiritual, our God, is to show respect by limiting ourselves of worldly uh, things that we do every day and set our minds and ourselves to the Lord. So, mind you, that some denominations fast and some do not in Christianity. So it is going back to, let's say, the Old Testament and the Jewish traditions, and then have carried over into Christianity. So therefore, like today, that I'm not sure about the Episcopalians, but the Catholics do fast during Lent.
Okay. Yeah, that's the first time I've heard fasting around this time.
That was an old tradition. So
Oh, okay.
so originally that's how it. You're talking about Romans, and then when Christianity first started, our disciples were all Jewish, so they were bringing in Jewish traditions, but talking about Jesus Christ. So, and their experiences with Christ. So, but a lot of our ways of worshiping, probably I would imagine, sure, go back to Judaism and the original, where we derive from, where
Mm-hmm.
Jesus came from. So fasting is really not talked about much, like I said, except within the Catholic faith.
You're correct. Yeah, yeah. I've never heard of fasting until uh, when you mention it. That's interesting. Anybody
And a
else
lot
have
of,
any? Oops,
sorry,
sorry. That's all
go
right.
ahead.
Anybody else have any questions for our division chaplain? Feel free. Hey, Jeffro. Nativity Catholic Cajun fast from Friday until Sunday. Is that a question, Jeff, or just a statement? Native Catholic Cajuns fast from Friday until Sunday.
There you go. Our Cajuns are, and they're in Louisiana, a lot of Catholics, and um, there's a comment about fasting. Like I said, I don't believe. My mother's a Baptist. I don't believe they fast. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm I was raised Protestant, but I go to a Pentecostal church. So, uh, as I said, that was the first time I've heard of fasting.
I have to be careful with the word Protestant, because I was brought up that if you weren't a Catholic and you were a Christian, you were a Protestant. Everything else fell underneath the category Protestant. Well, I had a dear friend from college. She's a dentist now, and for many years, actually. I've been out of college for over 30 years. But anyway, one time I said, "Well, Jan, you're a Protestant." She said, "No, I'm not." I said, "Why? You're a Baptist." She says, "I'm a Free Will Baptist." And I wasn't familiar with Free Will Baptist because I was brought under the Southern Baptist Convention, the way I was brought up. And so I said, "Why are you not a Protestant?" She says, "We didn't protest." And I go, "Explain this to me." She says, "We come from John the Baptist. We did not protest." So that was her explanation. I had never heard that in my life from a Free Will Baptist. And I had to respect her. And of course, I still respect anyone, all faiths and their beliefs. But I'm careful when I use the word Protestant now, or I have been. But, like if you're Pentecostal, you're a Protestant. You're not a Catholic. you're not under the Catholic faith. So that's the way the Catholics classify it, you know. But
Yeah, funny you should say that because I know Protestants and Catholics have been fighting in Ireland for centuries. You know that
absolutely,
that's
that's
where
a
my
perfect
people came from.
example. Perfect example. You know, Henry VIII started the Church of England, and he broke from the Catholic Church. He couldn't get his annulment, and there you go. He had his own church, and today England is still under the Church of England, and all kings and queens.
Hmm.
So, but it's interesting. If I may go back to Advent, like for instance, the wreath. A lot of the Christmas trees and the wreaths, they first appeared in Germany. Now the Advent wreath appeared in Germany about 1839, and it's from the Lutherans. Now Lutherans, I consider Protestants. Martin Luther he did protest the Catholics and formed the church. A lot of in Germany, what was then Germany. But you have a wreath, and some of y'all might have this at home, and it's a wreath that lays on the table, and you've got 4 big candles.
Hmm.
Well, there should be one white candle, which should be lit the night before Christ is born, the baby Jesus, and the other candles are lit each Sunday, preluding to the nativity. So that wreath with the candles, that tradition came from Germany. Originally, they had 20 candles in there, 20 red candles, and one big white candle in the center. So this is how a lot of what we have today evolves from going way back to the Romans, and then we've refined with religion. We have secular practices. When the Lutherans came about, the Calvinists, well, they weren't really into Christmas, but the Germans love Christmas. And so you see a lot of these things, like we've always been told the Christmas tree was from Germany, and that tradition started there. Well, so was the Advent wreath. And I found that interesting. I was reading about that today, and how the candles are represented. You might have the first and second and fourth candles are purple. The third candle is rose colored. Sometimes the candles are red in other traditions. Some other of the 4 candles are blue and white. Occasionally, the white candle is placed in the middle and is lit, as I mentioned, on Christmas Day or the Christmas Eve to celebrate actually should be lit on Christmas Day to celebrate the birth of Christ.
Yeah, it's funny you should talk about that because I remember seeing that at my grandmother's house. I never knew the meaning behind it. Wreath
Most
right
of
in
us
center
don't.
of the yeah, wreath right in the table. Uh, I,
They're beautiful Christmas centerpieces,
yeah.
but they're Advent wreaths.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Hey, I learned something today.
I was going to mention that Advent readings are themed. So they're themed scripture readings for each Sunday. So we have 4. So the 4 weeks of Advent are broken down into themes. The first Sunday would be hope or promise. The second Sunday would be preparation, waiting or prophecy. The third Sunday would be joy and peace. And the fourth would be love, adoration. And one of the beautiful things about Advent readings above is that they offer churches the opportunity to include both young and old in their services. See, that's where you see the churches bring in the children and for these celebration of Jesus and teach them about baby Jesus and the living nativity is beautiful. I always, as a child, loved to see those and go and see a real living nativity. I think that's a beautiful tradition that we have. And this also, the same can be true of private family devotions around Advent reading and readings in church. So people read at Christmas time in their homes when they gather, Christmas Eve, and but there's no set criteria and of who should read the Advent readings in church. And in some denominations, the lead pastor or worship leader may read the Advent reading to lead the congregation in worship. Just like I did this evening, I wanted to read to everyone from Luke 1, verses, I think I did 26 through 33, something like that.
So, yeah, something like that.
So it was a lead in to talk about Advent.
We do have something come up from Jim Odell. Brian, where's the candle special wax to be burning long time? Did I say that right, Jim?
Yeah, they're supposed to. You mean, do they burn the whole time, the whole month? Well, you've got one that's going to be shorter than the other, obviously. One that's going to burn down, and then you've got another one that's burning the next Sunday, and another one's burning next Sunday. I mean, I don't know. Is it a special wax?
He said yes. Were they? Yes. Were they special wax?
Maybe they sell them. The big candles, maybe it's just the size because they're large candles. Maybe they're just meant to last longer. So when you do light your Advent wreath, your 4 candles, which is traditionally what we do today, they last. They're supposed to stay lit. I don't know. People for safety reasons want to leave lit candles, burn their house down. We don't want that.
Yeah, especially in this day and age, there's a lot of special people out there.
Yeah, I would imagine. Here's what I think. What we've probably done, I think, is just light them in the evenings when we're home. So you've got one lit for 1 week, and when you come home, you light your candle and have it burning through the night. Put it out. It's that's the safe way.
Yeah, Jim also said didn't know if they had to be blessed. Also,
I don't think so. I know if you are a Catholic and you want to ask your priest to bless your wreath, I'm sure he would. Just like he would bless your medal that you wear around your neck or bless your home. This is what Catholics do. And but if you had a wreath, and if you are Catholic, and you took it to your priest, I'm sure he would bless it for you. I don't think it's a requirement because the Lutherans started this, which are Protestants, and I'm not sure how if they're I'm sure pastors pray over their congregation, but differently than Catholics would.
yeah, I've seen because like I said earlier, I grew up Protestant, and my mother had me and my sister. We were bouncing from church to church, trying to find the one that fit her. Of course, me and my sister got dragged along, but uh, you know, and I remember hearing a lot of different stuff. People blessing over teddy bears, their cars so they don't get in an
Yes,
accident, stuff like that.
yes, yes. I've actually had when I had some priests that were uh, coming to our practice, our cardiology practice where I work in Broward County. there was a group of priests that we had, and one time I got a new Jeep. So I asked Father. I asked him. He was a patient, a very nice man. Uh, I said, Father, can you bless my new truck? And he said, sure. So he came back one day, I guess whatever it was, and he had a special prayer, and we went out to my truck and he blessed it. Now that's just you can get priests to pretty much bless about anything, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, because I've heard that. I think it was one of my Jewish clients. They had this metal thing about like this little rectangle thing by their door.
That's called a mezuzah.
Yeah, yeah, and I
So
asked him about it.
yes, the mezuzah is um, has a prayer inside of it, a little scroll, and it's
Oh,
by yeah. A lot of people don't know this, so you'll see those at the doors of Jewish homes.
yeah,
And I think this came with it's a blessing as you come into the house. It's a blessing, and they're hung at an angle. All of them are put in an angle at the door. And I asked
yeah.
a Jewish person about that, and they said, well, it's done that way to bring in all the good and throw out anything else that was bad. So your home is blessed. So you see that a lot. You see those on Jewish doors. I would imagine is it linked to Moses telling Jewish people to put the lamb's blood over their door to protect them from the angel of death? I don't know if this could be the variant of that tradition of the mezuzah for the Jewish people, perhaps.
Interesting. Yeah. It, yeah, hey, that's the thing about this show. We could talk about anything.
Just about anything.
Hey, cousin Vinny. Hey, Christian Lee. Jim Odell said thank you.
Hi, Jim.
Hey, if I didn't say hi to you, if I missed you, welcome to the show. We're just hanging out, talking to our division chaplain about Christmas.
Advent.
Yeah, it's funny. This was a couple years ago when I asked my Jewish uh, client about that thing on his door. So I got done with what I was doing. I said, "Happy holidays." Oh boy, did he correct me? He goes, "I'm tired of that BS. Say Merry Christmas." Like, okay. And
I'm on. I feel when our Jewish patients will tell me Merry Christmas, I think it's wonderful. It's
yeah,
beautiful of them to recognize, you know. Um, and a lot of Jews tell me that they love Christmas. It's for them. I would imagine it's the lights, the the decorations. People are giving. We're supposed to do good things always. As
yeah.
being a Christian, we should do good to unto others. But how can you not love Christmas? It's a beautiful time of the year. One of my favorites. It is probably my favorite. Growing up, it
Oh,
was my favorite.
yeah. For me, when I was a kid and my family got together. I mean, granted, Christmas time is it's kind of hard for my family because I lost my mother right around Christmas.
That's
Uh,
sad.
what was it? Last year, year before, I lost my grandmother right around the same time frame. Uh, but yeah, Jim Odell asks, "Is Saint Nicholas a pagan thing?"
Uh-huh. Well, supposedly he comes from Turkey.
Oh.
And yes, Constantinople was at one time part of Constantine's empire. It was when it was Constantinople. And I've read over the years, even when I was teaching part time, I would read about Christmas and St. Nicholas. Uh, Considering what you think is pagan, they say that he went into a poor man's home. Somebody told him about this situation, or a poor man, or he went into his home and went down through the to the inside of the house, I guess through the chimney, and brought gifts to a man who needed help or needed something. Something. The story goes something like that, and I've just heard that it was from that he originated from Turkey, which a lot of people do not know
Ooh.
that.
Yeah, because I would have figured uh, European, Germany.
Turkey is the gateway from Europe to the east. So if you go to modern day Turkey, I'm told it's very European-ish. They're very modern, very, even though it's a Muslim country. But in its day, it had a lot of Christians. So I'm not really surprised that this saint would come from there, because it was a
Yes,
great empire. Constantine's empire
yeah.
was.
Yes, cousin Vinny Krampus is a German thing. I knew that was going to come up.
Yes, Krampus is German, and he will come and get you. He's at all the festivities in the German towns. Uh, Krampus is another thing that probably, I don't know, did it originate in medieval times or later, or early 17, 16, 1500s? I don't know.
Ah, but
He's kind of
yeah.
he's in festivals in Europe. Um, what is it in Holland they call? Um, I forgot. They have different names for Saint Nicholas. We've heard Kris Kringle, and
Hmm.
it's something similar to Kringle, like in Holland and Germany and Belgium, and
Yeah,
but
because I grew up hearing about the story about the banshee.
oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's not a Christmas thing, but that's the only one I grew up hearing about.
Well, here's the thing, that we should be teaching our children. You know, Santa Claus is wonderful. I mean, children love Santa Claus.
Hmm.
But then we should teach the children should know about what is Christmas. Christmas. Jesus was born, and they need to be taught these the very important. This is why I love to see children in church, because they are learning, and they are learning who our Savior is, and the history and the stories behind it. And so Santa Claus is a wonderful time for children, but we need to teach them the real reason of Christmas. And once they get that and understand that, then everything else is fun, and opening presents and playing with toys.
All right. Well, we got our division chaplain. Feel free to ask questions. I know some of you just joined the chat, but it's a great chat right now. We're talking about what this season is truly about.
Oh, I was going to tell you too, tell you all little things I was reading. Of course, you know, we're all about our Confederate ancestry. So a lot of us, you know, like to know, like, well, what did our Confederate, you know, what did they do out on the battlefield? What a horrible situation to be a soldier in, and any war, to be a soldier and out on a battlefield. Well, our Confederate ancestors, um, you know, how they barely ate, had things to eat and to get by. Can you imagine being out there at Christmas? And I've been reading different stories today because I wanted to reflect on our Confederate ancestors and when they were away from home. Now, I mentioned earlier about Massachusetts, not, you know, in the 17th centuries, not allowing you to practice Advent. But I wanted to mention that Christmas was not a holiday during the war between the states. It was not a holiday. So we started to realize that when our men were away and then they came back and the war was over, it wasn't until 1870 that Congress passed the first federal law to recognize Christmas as a national holiday. 1870.
Wow.
So think about our ancestors. At Christmas, we did. Jingle Bells was written in 1853. Did you know that? That's how old that song is that we sing today. So we did have Christmas traditions in the South, and the North did as well. And people would see, like, for instance, Thomas Nast. He was an artist for the Harper's Weekly, which was the #1 read magazine during the war between the states. He did illustrations, which were really propaganda illustrations for the Union. And he did illustrations of Christmas and he had Confederates at the feet of Lincoln, Confederate generals. It was kind of like to show them that, and Santa Claus was in the middle. St. Nicholas was in the middle, Santa Claus. So it was, they used artistry in Harper's Weekly at Christmas and the holidays, but was very pro-Union, and everything was geared towards glorifying Lincoln and Christmas. So I read that some Union soldiers hung salt pork, and their hardtack hung it on, like, let's say they found a tree or a little tree and they hung it. And that's how some Union soldiers, when they were at Christmas at the battle, they were away, just to remind them of home. And one North Carolina soldier wrote his mother asking for a bottle of brandy and some sugar so he could make eggnog for his fellow soldiers. And then what did the families tell the children? You know, so here they are at war, and one Southern mother, she would say, this was written down, that she said not to expect Saint Nick, a visit from Saint Nick, because the Yankees had shot him. While another parent offered a more sensitive explanation, and she says to her children, as a Yankee, Santa would be held up by Confederate pickets, or perhaps Union blockade vessels had interrupted his journey. So they would make up these things. It was wartime because they didn't have the means of buying the things that they would have normally. And this was Christmas. So we celebrated this holiday. We celebrated Advent, but it didn't become a national holiday until 1870.
Yeah, because at Christmas time, I've read stories where Union and Confederate troops would trade goods on Christmas Day. Yeah, despite the political aspect of it, they would come to a peace, river, or near what we know present day as a battlefield. They would just
The
simply trade coffee, you know.
coffee, tobacco, sugar,
Hmm.
the Richmond Examiner newspapers that they had. They wanted to read what was going on back home. Um, you're absolutely correct. I mean, from what we've read, that they did exchange these things. Somebody wanted tobacco, somebody wanted sugar, and then other soldiers had something that the other soldiers wanted. So, yes, they did do that, which is kind of mind blowing if you think about it. And then they'd go out to battle.
Yep, the next day. All right, guys, feel free to ask questions. We're just having a conversation right now, so feel free to ask questions. I know Jim's been asking questions, so feel
Jim's
free to ask
always
questions.
asking questions.
Jim's
Jim
always
loves to
learning.
ask questions. Jim's always learning and always teaching.
Yep, he is. All right. Yeah, Jeffro is on our YouTube channel, talking from there. If you guys don't know it, we're also on YouTube. Feel free to share this episode with our YouTube link in your camp emails to your camp members. Let them know we're here. You know, hell, you never know who's going to be on this show the next time. We're having a good show, guys. Ask questions.
Oh, Commander, I wanted to
Yeah,
bring up do a plug for the 14th Brigade. Uh,
shoot.
we're having we're having our Lee Jackson. I believe it's December 21st, first, uh, which will be at the Davie Women's Club. Some of you've been there. I know Jim Odell did a presentation last year on the Confederate Navy. It's a really cool place. It's a cracker house. It's in Davie, Florida, believe it or
Ooh.
not. And it's used for, it's one of our favorite places to hold events. And anyway, we have our Lee Jackson and we have Dr. Marshall DeRosa. Some of you've heard of him for the past years, a professor at FAU who is on our side. And it's no fact and it's no secret. And he has lectured, I believe, at Abbeville Institute, and we have the honor of having him speak at our Lee Jackson. So if anybody is interested, they can contact me through the chaplain email or David Nash if they are camp commander, brigade commander, if they're interested. I just thought I'd put that plug in.
That that's right on. Uh, Mr. Turner, after the show, shoot me the details of that because I'm going to be off that week. I'll probably come down.
Love
Well,
to have you. You'd like
come,
Dr. DeRosa.
yeah, come over the alligator alley.
Yes, sir. And don't get bit by an alligator.
Hell, that's my favorite place to hang out is the Everglades.
I
I
actually
enjoy
ran
it
over
down there.
one. I ran over an alligator one time when it was Tulane or whatever. It was many, many years ago
Yeah,
at
yeah,
night.
yeah. My aunt did the same thing. She's in this small black car. We called it the Black Twinkie, and yeah, she one crossing 41. She hit it. I think can't remember all the details, but I think she said as soon as she hit it, she went a little airborne.
Oh, I heard mine thump. I was doing a dealer trade, and I used to do those when I first moved here back in '91, and I was coming back from some dealership, and I heard I just saw the red eyes and thump 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 underneath. It was. I'm sure it survived.
Yeah. Jim Odell is asking when. You said that was December the 21st, right?
I believe so. Yes. I don't know how to look on my phone here. I'm using my phone and check. Let me see if I'm able to do that. Yes, I think I am. Let me check here. Um,
A monthly
yes,
donation
we
to
are
what?
having.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to think. Yes, Saturday, January 21st at the Davie Women's Club.
Oh, January the 21st, not December.
Oh, did I say December?
Yeah,
I'm sorry if I did.
that's all right.
Oh, no, no. I did not mean to say that. January 21st
That's all
is
right.
our Lee Jackson, the 14th Brigade.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, that's I made those mistakes before.
Yeah, I don't want to mislead anybody. It's yeah, it's January 21st.
Gotcha.
And you can look up Dr. Marshall DeRosa.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I know. Yeah, we got quite a bit of Lee Jackson things going on.
And
Uh,
I,
the division commanders putting one on in Jacksonville. Roy Hudson, he's in the chat. He's putting on one. So
well, we're a big state. We're a big division. We have a lot of very, active camps. And we like to get together. And I spoke last year at, as, as Governor Milton, I spoke at Calvin's camp, Kirby Smith. I did a presentation. It was very nice up there to go to their Lee Jackson.
that's cool.
It's just they had to change it. They have it on a Sunday night, so they made it
Yeah.
for Saturday for me because I couldn't do it on a Sunday. So that's a hard thing to do if you don't live in the Jacksonville area. Although they have a very nice Lee Jackson, I couldn't, I can't go to an event so far away.
Yeah,
But
I'm in the same boat as you. We're both extreme South Florida.
yes,
Just the only thing that separates both of us is the Glades.
right, Lake Okeechobee. Yeah,
Well, that too.
yeah. Hmm.
Alrighty, January 20th. Okay. Hey, Cameron. Good to see you. Good to see you, buddy. Glad you joined the chat. Alrighty, just people chatting in the chat. That's cool. That's why they're called chat heads. Oh man, I am looking forward to next week. I am off for two. I don't go back to after the first of the year. Time to
Wow,
relax. Hell, you never know. I might pop in over on the over there in Miami or whatever. I every time I'm in the Glades, I always end up at the Mukasuki Reservation. Anyhow, that's why I like to go fishing.
cool.
So I'm not too.
We have a lot of good fishing in Florida.
Oh yeah, and a lot of unique species too that are not native to Florida, but the good fishing.
Hmm.
Yep.
And if you like,
Linda, Roy, thank you for joining tonight. Have a good night. Good seeing you. Merry Christmas. Holy shit. I just realized it's 9:02.
oh, well, Sean, I want to wish all of our guests tonight a very Merry Christmas. and I thank y'all for tuning in. And is that a that's probably not a chat word, tune in. That's like a TV term. Uh,
Hey, you're
but
free to say whatever.
but I thank you, Sean, for having me on as a guest and being able to talk a little bit about Christmas and Advent. I appreciate it, and I hope everyone tonight, like I said, has a wonderful and safe Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Exactly. Thank you, Mr. Turner, for joining the show tonight.
Thank you.
I thought it was a perfect timing for you, because of the holiday.
Thank you.
And hell, I learned some stuff from it. That stuff I grew up seeing and all that, like the wreath.
Yep, a lot of it came from Germany. Those the wreaths and the traditions came from Germany, and and we still, today celebrate symbols of Christianity and Christmas. Or we still have those today.
Yep. All right, guys. Want to wish everybody Merry Christmas. Beth, I'll be working on your son's stuff here the next couple of days, upgrading him from a cadet, which is sweet. All right. Thank you for all joining tonight. Wish you all Merry Christmas. I'm gonna sign off by playing the video I meant to play last week, and I clicked on the wrong button. This time I know which one I'm clicking on. So stay southern, my friends. Merry Christmas. I am planning on doing a New Year's special. I'm currently working on something with that. A nice little reel with all of our guest speakers. All right. Thank you. Have a good night. Stay southern.
My dad told me he always had a kinship to the battle flag. Always growing up, he knew there was something there, but he couldn't put it together. I called my 97-year-old grandmother, and I asked her, do we have any soldiers in the family? I gave her 3 descriptions. Verde, which means green, for modern-day soldier. Blue, azul, or gris, means gray. And she said, mijo, which means my son in Spanish, is gris. It was gray. My great-great-grandfather was named Andres Torres Rodriguez. He was born in Mexico. He was a laborer. And he was in 8th Texas Infantry, and his unit later on got incorporated to the Texas 33rd Cavalry under Santos Benavides, who was the highest Mexican-American Confederate officer. He was a colonel. There was over 13,000 Hispanic soldiers throughout the Confederate States, but out of those 13,000 were 2,500 Tejanos. And it's 2 words combined. Texas in Spanish is Tejas. Mexican in Spanish, Mexicano. You combine both words, Tejano. They contributed a lot for Southern independence. I think that they deserve respect, honor, and dignity under the Confederate flag that they fought for. There was people of color, Mexican people, and other Hispanics, and other people of color that fought in this war. Everyone's reason was different, but primarily they fought in this war for their independence and to protect their homeland. I joined the SCV because I'm extremely proud of my Confederate heritage. I have Confederate DNA. I just want to ensure that the present generation and future generations know and never forget the contributions of Hispanics in the War of Northern Aggression. I am Richard Luna Garcia, the great-great-grandson of Private Andres Torres Rodriguez, a Tejano Confederate soldier.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Stay Southern. That's the end of our broadcast. I'll see you for New Year's special.